best friends got each other's back. We used to cruise around with a bass to the max. Everyone in school while I was in the lab, cooking up some beats that would turn into tracks. High school chillin', I was on a mission. I had bigger dreams of being a musician. Teachers always talked but I couldn't seem to listen. I lived in a fantasy land, they called it fiction. But I was gonna be big one day, playing shows on the road to a sold out stage. Nobody really cared or believed I would make it anywhere close, I would fail and fade. But that's cool, I love that, cause any little doubt gives me energy back. And now I'm in a place where I'm glad I never gave up on the dreams I had. And big dreams lead to big things, and big swings lead to big rings. Championships or the big screen, anyone who did anything took a big swing. And big dreams lead to big things, and big swings lead to big rings. Championships or the big screen, anyone who did anything took a big swing. Yeah, let's go. So if you want something big, you gotta swing fast, swing hard and commit. You might miss 10 times, but when you hit, just make sure that you get all of it, okay? People at the top took risks. Investing and testing is all that they did. It's not complicated, it just takes grit. So never give up, take a swing at it. And big dreams lead to big things, and big swings lead to big rings. Championships or the big screen, anyone who did anything took a big swing. And big dreams lead to big things, and big swings lead to big rings. Championships or the big screen, anyone who did anything took a big swing. I work blind, got vision I don't need to see. I'm picking mind over matter, I believe in me. I need to find more hours in the day to breathe. Need to find more power in the way I be. And when my mind turns sour with the painful scenes, I need to scream out loud, I can't stop me. I wanna be the greatest like Rocky. You know I leave them all hates like a hobby. I'm out here making moves like a lobby. And if you ain't with me, it's your loss. See, I got my mind on the facts, I'm a python, grab what I like real fast. Choke until I have everything I attack, everything that I lack, everything that I want, and I see, matter of fact. Cause I'm my own worst enemy. Only if I let it be. I can control anything if I can just think carefully. I control my destiny. Deep up in my mind I manifest it. Every morning I wake up obsessed, and everything I do the best. And deep within my mind you know I'll always manifest it.
and welcome to my Mind of Your Matter. My name is Rick. Turn on the cameras here. You're in the dark tonight. Just want to be in the dark. Sunday. I had a good day today. Went for a little hike and beautiful, beautiful views. As you saw in the opening titles, that image that you saw with the water and the mountain and the beautiful foliage. I took those videos and I generated a little bit of AI to put into my mind of your matter into it. But yeah, AI is scary because AI can manipulate a lot of things. And I don't know, you got to be careful with AI because it could accumulate to really bad things happening. And, you can fool people easily, especially with AI. Um, how you guys doing this Sunday evening? It's I had a pretty rude awakening this morning. I had that same problem again at 5 in the morning. I had this sharp pain in my head. So tomorrow I am going to see my doctor and see what the it's going on in my head because something's going on and I don't know what it is. And it's been happening already 4 days in a row, and that's more than enough for me to go see my primary. I actually have an appointment to see my primary on the 6th, but 9 out of 10, I might have to. I am going to go see her tomorrow and see what the hell is going on. Maybe get EEG or it's a electric stem circuit, like to check for brain waves and check the brain waves and check to see what the hell's going on with the brain as far as like when it hits me with that shock, it will record it, and every time I feel it, I would have to press the button so it could record what the hell's going on. I need to be put back on that immediately. The EEG. Um, but other than that, man, it was a beautiful day today. Beautiful fall day today. I had a great time. Many pictures, many images. I put a short up today of a stream of water that was just rolling, and I just wanted to record that stream of water and pick up the sound of the water. And it sounds so awesome. I did a 3 minute video, a 3 minute short. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's really cool. It's really good for meditating. It's really good if you want to fall asleep at night and you just want to listen to the water. That 3 minute will continue playing throughout the night, so you can leave it on throughout the night. And that's exactly what I'm going to do tonight. And I'm going to be listening to that stream of water. It's very relaxing. Let's see what else we got here. Hey, Albie. Hey, Terry. Tonight's show is going to be a short show. It's not going to be a long show because I got things to do tomorrow. I am going to go see the doctor first thing in the morning. Hopefully, I'm just hoping, and I know that it's going to happen. And this is a high probability, I may be hospitalized. Okay. So if that comes to fruition, um, I probably still do my show from the hospital. I just don't know how it's gonna look or how it's gonna be, how I'm gonna set it up. I don't know. Um, I don't care. I want to stay religiously focused on the show until the day I die, and whatever happens in between, I'll put it on YouTube, and it's always going to be documented and recorded and for others to see in the future. So without further ado, one, I want to say congratulations to the Dodgers for winning the World Series. I don't care, to be honest with you. People are destroying Los Angeles because the Dodgers won a World Series. Congratulations. Millionaires won a world championship. Multi-millionaires. They won a championship. Congratulations. Now what? It doesn't mean shit. It's okay. We put you in history. Congratulations, you won. Like, for us, we don't win. What do we win? What does Los Angeles win when the Dodgers win? Crickets, because I don't hear shit. All right, guys. This go ahead and upload this here. Let's put this show. I got a couple of stories here for us to watch, so I just want to jump right to it. All right, here we go. Let's set it up. Here we go.
As the government shutdown shows no signs of letting up, a federal judge is giving the administration until tomorrow to explain how it plans to temporarily fund SNAP so that 42 million Americans don't go hungry.
I'm not hungry.
Says that
bitch.
despite what Democrats say,
that's all illusion.
Cannot be used as a
that is all an illusion.
Agriculture.
Nobody's going hungry.
Rollins joins us now. Brooke, so great to have you on. I know you're somebody who cares very deeply about families and children. I know you want them to get those benefits. Explain why this judge, in your estimation, is not correct in his orders.
Well, first of all, Rachel, it's so good to be on, and happy Sunday to everyone. Certainly, I was raised by a single mom in a small town.
You look like
we
it.
Talk about this quite a bit. The president has been wholly focused on, in spite of the reprehensible behavior of Chuck Schumer and the Democrats and shutting the government down and working to pay the military, working to keep the farmers and the farm service agencies open. We've been duct taping, I've been saying duct taping and bubble gum, WIC and SNAP, which are vulnerable populations, food programs now for more than a month. The judge came down just last week, I think Friday afternoon actually, and said that in fact we do need to use it's a smaller contingency fund. It won't even cover about half of what November would cost. So we are working and looking at all angles right now. The president has been very clear. He wants us to do everything we can to make sure that we can keep these benefits going. So that's what we're doing right now and over the weekend, especially for our most vulnerable populations, as the Democrats keep shutting things down. It's just crazy.
Yeah, you expect them to get a little bit of pressure. I mean, just
but it's a lot of virtual funding too. 3%
of households in his district are dependent on SNAP. And he's the one blocking SNAP from moving forward. I want you to look at some of these numbers. 42 million Americans are on SNAP,
remember?
So that's 1 in 8. 73% of SNAP households are at or below poverty level. 79% of SNAP households include children or seniors or disabled people. And the average household benefit is about $332. Also, Brooke, you've said this before, and I think it's really interesting. You said some of the silver lining is we're getting to look a little bit behind the SNAP program. So we know that 20% of illegals are on SNAP and that 59% of households headed by illegals use SNAP or some other multiple welfare programs. Talk to us about that as well.
Well, a couple of things. There's been a lot of miscommunication out there on the program, but this is one of the first things we did when I walked in the day one of USDA, February 13th, is we sent letters to every governor in America being very clear that no illegal aliens can use SNAP. 0, 0, 0.
Yeah, right. New York is using all of it.
First time in history, and this was in February, to send us their data and let us, with Doge and a war room, actually start going through this data to better understand how this explosion of SNAP benefits happened under Joe Biden. We increased almost 40% on this program in just a couple of years under the Biden administration.
40%.
Of course, we know they were trying to buy the election, but that's a conversation for another time. And since we have asked for that data, 29 states have complied. Of course, almost all the red states, a couple of couple blue states too. But in that data, and I haven't talked about this yet publicly, in that data we've studied about $100 billion in spend. We have found thousands and thousands of illegal use of the EBT card. We have been moving people off of SNAP. We've got almost 700,000 people, I think, we've moved off just since the president took office. We've arrested about 118 people. So this has been ongoing.
They need to arrest a lot more than that.
To your point, what this conversation has allowed is a national spotlight on a broken and corrupt program. We found one guy in 6 different states getting a benefit. We found about 5,000 people that are dead who are still getting benefits. Like, it is time to drastically reform this program so that we can make sure that those who are truly needy, truly vulnerable, are getting what they need, and the rest of the corruption goes away, and we can serve the American taxpayer. So we want to, number one, most important, get the government open, make sure the people that really need this money are going to get it.
I like her, but that forehead
There's
distracts
a new sheriff
me.
in town. His name is Donald Trump, and this program will be reformed. We will hold people accountable, and we will be able to help those who really need it.
And we can make sure that the food that we do give them is even higher quality, because I'm all for that as well.
Get rid of the junk food.
Brooke Rollins, we really appreciate you.
They can
all
buy it
that
with
you're
their
doing
cash.
to make sure that America's people who are hungry, especially our children, our elderly and disabled, get the benefits and the food that they need, especially ahead of the holidays. So, Brooke Rollins, thanks for waking up and joining us.
Thank you, Rachel. Have a great day.
You too.
Hey, it's Will Kane.
Forehead, man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know she's really nice to the Republicans, but when I see a Cleon, I gotta call it. That's a Cleon forehead. Oh my goodness. I remember Star Trek. I used to love watching Star Trek. As a little youngling, I was a big fanatic of Star Trek. And I remember the Cleons. And she looks like a Cleon. Can't tell me otherwise. Just rolled up my joint. Freaking Cleon. But she's a good Cleon because she's on the red side. But, honey, please, something's up with that forehead. It's a lot of forehead. Okay, let's keep it moving. Oh boy, let's see what else we're gonna watch here. All right, something classified. This is an unclassified. Oh, this is an attack. Watch, U.S. military takes out 15th alleged cartel boat in the Caribbean strike. So let's take a look at what happened. Dun, 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 boom! Dun, dun, dun. Cocaine in the ocean. Dun, 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 dun. This is how we take them out. This is how we take them out. One by one, one by one. This is how we take them out. Oh my goodness. I'm telling you, that one's got barbecued. Oh, look at all that drugs there. Whoa. It ain't look like sugar. It looks like coke. That ain't no sugar. Don't put it up your nose. Yeah. Here we go. Bye-bye. Finish him. Down to the ocean, down below. Say hi to SpongeBob for me down below. Oh, here we go. You think you're gonna get away? Watch this, bitch. You're gonna boom. Damn. We're supposed to feel bad for them. We're supposed to, like, cry. I ain't crying for you, Argentina, and I'm not crying for Colombia with their drugs floating in the water. Oh, who's going to grab those drugs from the water? That's a lot of money right there. Here's some more drugs. And there goes the image, and here comes the missile at any moment. Boom. I mean, are they not getting the news that the U.S. is not letting up and they are destroying every single vehicle, boat that comes out? Oh, shit. They lit that one up. Wow. Yeah, this is how you fight war on drugs. Remember all those years they're like, this is your brain on drugs, and then they would like show a fucking fried egg. And I'm like, that is not my brain, and that's not my brain on drugs. And that egg looked pretty good when I saw that commercial. I was like, damn, man, I wish it would just fry my egg and put it on top of my rice. I'll eat that. I'm telling you, I was so simple when I was little. a bowl of rice with an egg on top. That was my dinner for many nights when we didn't have money, and we found a way. And I'm here alive, so we always will find a way. Um, but the way the media is projecting, and they continue to project, oh my God, everyone's going to starve. They're going to starve. No, Americans are not going to starve because they could take their ass to McDonald's and get themselves a little burger, get themselves a little fry, and they got food, they got money. They just like to virtual signal a lot. You know, the people that I worry most right now are the Jamaicans, especially that Western Jamaica. I am so concerned for their safety, and not only that, but their food. They have no food, no water. Oh man, it's really bad out there. But here we are, looking at another boat going down. It's a lot of boats. How many is 15 boats? Okay, I think that's enough boats. Oh, there's still more. Oh, smokes. And it doesn't have any sound. It's not me that has it mute. It's muted that way. But here we go. To watch this. Here comes the missile. And they're hauling ass. They're really trying to outrun. But they don't know. They got something very spicy coming to them. Boom. You see, why would they go out? You know, they just, it's like a suicide mission. You know, this is a suicide mission. The only way you're going to probably be able to outrun these people, and that's if you own a submarine, a real submarine that goes pretty deep. That's the only way that you're going to be able to be successful to move this type of like this drugs. Like, these people are not fishing. Do they look like they're fishing? No, I see a guy sitting on the edge. Oh shit, that's gone. Everybody's dead there. I felt that one. And you can tell they have excessive fuel on board because look how the fire erupts. Oh, look at these people. Oh, look at the drugs you're moving. That boat is not fast enough. And sometimes you see it is at night. You know, they have night vision cameras and they see all these boats moving around. Thank God it's over. Let's keep it moving. My favorite president in the world. I hope is your favorite president because he's mine.
Are you going to endorse anybody in New York?
Well,
Cuomo or Sliwa?
yeah, I guess I haven't made a decision, really.
Sounds like you're leaning towards somebody.
Well, I think it's not good to have a communist, okay? Would I rather have a Democrat than a communist? Barely. They're almost becoming the same thing.
That's President Trump with me exclusively here 2 weeks ago on the New York City mayor's race ahead of this Tuesday's election. A new Fox News poll shows Democrat socialist Zoran Mamdani still leading the race. But former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo has been able to narrow the gap down to 16 points. Republican candidate Curtis Sliwa down by 32 points. Joining me now on his bid to become New York City's 119th new mayor is former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. Governor, good to see you this morning. Thank you so much for being here. How are you feeling about the polls 2 days out?
I'm feeling great, Maria. Actually, there's a new poll after that poll, which came out this morning on the front page of the New York Post that says it's 6 points. So he's coming down, I'm going up, and that's always good news.
Now, you've talked a lot about people understanding policy, and that's why you've been able to narrow this race, because people are learning more about what Zoran Mamdani wants to do, and they're not buying it. For example, let's go through some of that: free buses, free grocery stores. Is he going to be able to pull that off?
No, none of it is reality, Maria. He's very good on TikTok and social media, and he has great slogans. Freeze the rent. People think that means that he's going to freeze their rent, and their rent won't go up. That's totally untrue. The mayor has no authority, no legal authority to freeze the rent. There's an independent board that does it. They are appointed by term, so many of the appointees are going to be from Mayor Adams, the prior mayor. That can't happen. Free buses. Yeah, that sounds great. He doesn't run the buses. The state runs the buses, and the state said that that's not going to happen. Universal child care, because the state's going to tax all the corporations, but all the money goes to New York City. That's never going to happen. None of it will happen. It's just this socialist talk. Everything free, everything free. There's no free lunch, Maria.
Let me ask you this. You've said that you want to hire 5,000 new cops. You said security, feeling safe in New York is one of your top priorities. Will you keep on New York Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch should you win?
Yes.
Okay. And we all know that New York feels better. We all know New York feels better because President Trump closed the border. And that's why we felt better in the last year, because of President Trump's efforts. Are you going to be able to work with President Trump? If he wants to send the National Guard there, if he wants to help you with security, will you be able to work with this president?
Yeah, it's a good question, Maria. First of all, I know President Trump. I was governor when he was president in the first term. We worked together. Most people assume, well, the Democratic governor, Democratic mayor is going to fight with a Republican president. I don't necessarily assume that's true. I'm going to try cooperation. I believe President Trump is from New York. I think he cares about New York. He has friends in New York. He has a lot of connections in New York. And I think he would be open to a cooperative path that is doing good things in New York in cooperation with the federal government. I think he would like to see New York better. I believe that. And I want to appeal to that instinct first. If it becomes political, Democrat, Republican, like everything else happens down there, then that would be unfortunate.
Well, what about working with the current governor? I mean, she replaced you, Kathy Hochul. Would you have an easier time working with Kathy Hochul, or how about Elise Stefanik if she wins next year?
Look, whoever the governor is, the mayor of New York has to work with that governor. And it's a reciprocal relationship because New York City is the economic engine for the state. So the state needs the city to do well. The city generates most of the revenue. And there's an ongoing negotiation. I did it for 11 years as governor. I negotiated with Mayor Bloomberg, Mayor de Blasio, et cetera. So whether it's a Republican governor or a Democratic governor, yes, you have to work together.
Now, I called Zohran Mamdani to join us. We wanted to make sure we called everybody. I spoke with Curtis Sliwa last week. Curtis told me he is adamant he is not stepping out of this race. Zohran Mamdani told my team he is not going to sit with me until after the election. So size up this election here with Curtis Sliwa. Are you splitting the vote with Curtis Sliwa?
Curtis Sliwa, I think President Trump had this right. President Trump said Curtis Sliwa is not ready for prime time, and he's not ready for prime time. He's led this group called the Guardian Angels for years, but he has no managerial experience, no government experience, and he's basically...
Does Mamdani, and he's going to be mayor.
He's not ready for prime time, and he is a spoiler.
And Mamdani's
the only thing
leading.
he can do is make Mamdani a winner, because any vote for Curtis is a vote for Mamdani, period. There's no way Curtis could ever win. And I think what the president was saying when you read his tweets over the past few weeks, he thinks Mamdani, who he calls a communist, would be horrendous for New York. By the way, I agree. And this is the far left of the Democratic Party, the socialist wing of the Democratic Party, trying to take over New York City. and I believe it would be terrible for New York City. I believe it would be terrible for the Democratic Party.
And you have said that there's a civil war underway. We have to talk more about this fraud for Curtis Sliwa. I'm not sure what you're referring to, Governor.
Oh, okay.
Well, if you look in his past, he made up stories while he was at the Guardian Angels of exploits that turned out to be totally false.
Okay, Cuomo. I don't know anymore. Let's bring it back to me. I don't know. I'm not high enough to be dealing with fucking Cuomo right now because he was one of the worst fucking governors of all time, and yet he wants us all to forget about that and vote for him because a vote for him is better than having Mamdani. I'm like, Cuomo, but you were a fuck up. You were the main fuck up. How am I gonna like brush that off? Are you kidding me? Fucking kidding me? I don't know. Does it? Something is not right, and I'll tell you right now, it looks like Mamdani is gonna end up being mayor, and I'm not gonna be going to New York for the next 4 years. I think. When does he take over mayorship? I think it's on the 1st of January. So I think on the 1st of January is when he comes in and then he takes over. I may go to New York, maybe because I would like to see the Christmas tree, but it'll be the last time I'll see the Christmas tree for the next 4 years. Because be honest with you, I really don't want to go to New York, but it's going to be my last time. I don't think I'll, as alive, no, not even dead, I wouldn't want to go over there. It's like that place is not fun. It's just not a fun place. It's just it has nice little, you got Times Square. You got nice little video displays all over the place in Times Square, and it looks pretty cool, right? But it's just, to me, I don't know. It's just not the same how it used to be. The energy, the vibe, like you can feel the vibration is not the same. It's more of an opportunistic vibration, and it's not good. Not good at all. So I don't know. We'll see. All right, let's see what else. Let's check out what this story is about here. Okay, let's come over here. And let's watch.
It appears to most reasonable observers that Donald Trump was punked on the world stage by the Chinese Communist Party.
What the fuck is this guy talking about?
Jeffrey slamming the president over his negotiations.
This guy's a fucking idiot.
So what did and didn't get accomplished when Presidents Trump and Xi
At least he's doing something. What are you doing? Nothing.
Now he's here and joins us with details. Welcome back, Mr. Secretary.
Shannon, good to see you.
What do you make of his characterization of what happened in China?
I think it's ignorant, and I think it's kind of sad he has no idea how ignorant he is, because I was in the room, and I can tell you, I was there for the president's entire trip, and it was a tour de force. President went into Malaysia, signed trade deals, peace deals with Thailand and Cambodia, that everyone in the Asia region wants to be partners with the U.S. We moved on to Japan. The president and the new prime minister of Japan had great chemistry. And then we went into Korea, and the meeting with President Xi was one of great respect and many accomplishments.
Okay, so let's talk through some of those. First of all, there was this understanding or idea that the administration was hoping China's economy, which has been struggling, would be in a worse position even than it is. The Washington Post writing this: China's economy has proved more resilient than Trump officials anticipated. Chinese negotiators also demonstrated a willingness to hit back that seemed to surprise members of the administration, including Bessent, who visibly bristled at Beijing's retaliation. What do you make of their characterization of you?
Highly inaccurate. And look, we saw that the Chinese manufacturing has been down for 7 months in a row. So let's do the math. The Liberation Day, April 2nd. Where are we today? November 2nd. 7 months. Chinese manufacturing's been down every month. What they've done is the U.S. put up a tariff wall, and they have sent their goods to the rest of the world. Their trade with Europe is up 10%, but it's all discounted. They've depreciated their currency. And the Chinese economy, they're in the middle of a real estate crisis. They're trying to export their way out of it. And I think what we're going to see is the rest of the world is going to join us in the tariff wall against China. The EU recently put up 50% tariffs. So, no, I didn't bristle at all. What I was surprised at was that the Chinese on October 8th tried to put in rare earth controls on the entire world. And I said that it was a mistake because it was China versus the world. And President Trump was the leader of the free world. And we had those controls postponed for a year.
So let's talk about that. It's a year postponement. Do we have the ability to scale up what we need within that year in case a year from now there are tough negotiations and China decides to threaten to cut us off again?
Well, a couple of things, Shannon. One was President Trump threatened to put 100% additional tariffs on China, which gave me and our team great negotiating leverage in Kuala Lumpur before the president's meeting in Korea. So we had maximum leverage against the Chinese, and we could threaten the tariffs again, and we have plenty of things that we can hold back too. Over the next 12 and 24 months, we're going to be moving at warp speed. We didn't get here in a year. This is a problem that has been with us for several decades. It's never been addressed with these rare earths, the rare earth magnets. The Chinese have cornered the market, and unfortunately, at times, they prove to be unreliable partners. I think, and I hope, after the agreement and the goodwill between President Xi and President Trump in Korea, that we can depend on them to be more reliable partners, and the rest of the world can depend on them. But we can't take that chance. We don't want to decouple with China, but we're going to have to de-risk. So do we trust them on the issue of fentanyl? Because there have been promises in the past about their production or control of the production of the precursors of fentanyl. I understand there's some agreement this time around. What are the teeth? Is it enforceable? President Trump in the spring put 20% tariffs on the on China on fentanyl. We took half of them off as a show of good faith. The Chinese have said that they will work on stopping the flow of precursors to North America that flow into Canada, into Mexico, where they're made into fentanyl, killing hundreds of thousands of U.S. citizens, ruining families, ruining lives. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up a very strict quantitative criteria, and we'll revisit it in 6 or 12 months to see whether they've accomplished it. And my sense is the tariffs could go up or down. I hope that the Chinese, for the sake of the American people, will live up to this, and we could see a dramatic drop in fentanyl deaths. Okay, to the point of tariffs, a big test at the Supreme Court this week. A case on Wednesday will be argued about what is the bulk of the president's tariffs so far. One of the amicus briefs, or front of the court briefs that was filed, says this: the president's exercise of power here is either outside the scope of the power granted by Congress through IEPA, and that's the emergency powers law that the president used, or that the law is an unconstitutional delegation of power reserved exclusively to the legislative branch. So they argue either the president doesn't have the power to do it, or if Congress gave him the power, that was an unconstitutional delegation. You've lost in the lower courts so far. How do you game up Tuesday's or Wednesday's argument? I'm quite optimistic. And Shannon, what I can tell you is that because of what the Chinese did on October 8th, threatening to put export controls on any rare earth products that they produce that had 0.01% of rare earths produced in China, that they were going to try to control those, and the president was able to push back using his IEPA powers. If that's not use of an emergency power, the at an emergency time? I don't know what is. And then we go back to the spring, this terrible fentanyl crisis. It's an emergency for what's going on, and we got a solution. The Chinese, thanks to the tariffs, came to the table. So I think just those two alone have shown us that the president has used it responsibly. And then on the third part, with the reciprocal tariffs, there's something called a tipping point, and these trade deficits that we've had for years, 20, 30 years, especially since the China shock in the early 2000s, we were close to a breaking point, and the president did not want us to get there. Imagine if someone had held their hand up in 2006, 2007 and said, we're on the verge of a housing crisis. Well, President Trump raised his hand and said, we are on the verge of a balance of payments crisis, a trade crisis, and I'm going to use IEEPA. That is what emergency powers are for.
Okay, if you lose, something you have to consider, Bloomberg reports this, should that happen, the government could owe the bulk of the $165 billion in customs duties collected so far this fiscal year, back to the companies that paid them. So what is the plan if that happens?
Well, again, I think the Bloomberg analysis is wrong, and we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, because many of the tariffs are also collected under 232s and Section 301s, which have nothing to do with IEEPA.
There are other tariff levers the president can use.
Yes.
Quickly, the president said he's got an apology from the Canadian Prime Minister about an anti-tariff ad that ran there using some old footage of President Reagan. But he says the trade talks are not back on. How do they get back on with Canada?
We'll see. I don't know about you, Shannon, but many of my worst fights have been with family members. We eventually make up. But this was very serious. This Prime Minister of Ontario, who I imagine is smarting quite a bit from the Blue Jays' loss last night, spent, I heard, $75 million broadcasting across the U.S. border trying to sway public opinion. Now, if we're upset about what happens during foreign interference in our elections, this is foreign interference in U.S. public policy, and I agree with President Trump 100%. A price has got to be paid for this. So over time, we'll see what happens.
Well, we'll watch to see if they kiss and make up, as family members often do. Thank you very much, Secretary. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Okay.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno.
Emily Campagno. All right, let's go. Let's watch this here.
Our next guest is the government official in charge of making sure our nuclear arsenal is safe and ready if needed. The Energy Secretary, Chris Wright, here on set. Secretary Wright, you came with some breaking news this morning. Because of the shutdown, you guys are furloughing some more of the contractors in charge of safeguarding the arsenal. Is that safe?
We're going to maintain safety and security of the existing nuclear arsenal. It's essential for the sovereignty of our nation, but it's deeply irresponsible to see the Democrats run this, more than a month now. And unfortunately, we ran out of budget gymnastics we could play, and we have to start furloughing workers who are developing our next generation nuclear weapons and nuclear stockpile. This is very frustrating to me and angering, frankly.
How much advance notice did you have from the president the other day when he made the big announcement when we were in South Korea that the United States was going to restart nuclear weapons testing?
Well, he's clearly been concerned about the United States being the preeminent military power in the world. I mean, that's the only way we can guarantee peace abroad and prosperity at home. And so he hears announcements, he sees what's going on in the world, and I think he wants to communicate to everyone, America will lead. We will do whatever it takes to lead.
It's funny because when you came on with the cabinet, President Trump was talking about how he needed you as the energy secretary because you're a genius who is going to lower energy prices in the country. Very sought after executive. Did you think, when that's how things start, that you would have to be dusting off the test nukes so soon?
Well, I knew that modernizing our nuclear stockpile was a critical priority. A lot of our weapons are very old. And President Trump has been adamant about we have to be at the forefront. We need to be ahead of our adversaries, and we need to keep our weapons stockpile modern and upgraded. So I knew I would be working on this modernization program that's going on. Again, unfortunately, with some wrinkles right now with the furloughs. And if we don't get this government open, there's going to be bigger bigger ramifications in slowing down the modernizing of our nuclear stockpile. But is he passionate about keeping us in the lead militarily? Absolutely he is.
And I think people have a lot of questions about how this is all going to work. You mentioned that a lot of the nuclear weapons are older. The last time the U.S. did a nuclear test, I was 5 years old, so I had to Google this. It was at the Nevada National Security Site underground. Is that where these new tests are going to be?
I think the tests we're talking about right now are system tests. These are not nuclear explosions. These are what we call non-critical explosions. So you're testing all the other parts of a nuclear weapon to make sure they deliver the appropriate geometry and they set up the nuclear explosion.
And so this is not something where as soon as they, and how long is it going to take to get these systems ready for a test?
We've been working on this. President Trump has been constantly pushing and asking, how is our modernization efforts going? What do you need? How can I further accelerate it? Do you have the funding you need? We got some additional funding in the One Big Beautiful Bill, thanks to the president and the Republicans in Congress. And now, of course, he's deeply concerned about this shutdown, where we have to start furloughing workers who are doing this critical effort.
So this is not something where people who live in the Nevada desert should expect to see a mushroom cloud at some point.
No worries about that. No worries about that.
And is this, you're talking about modernizing the weapons. Are the tests going to be to the existing stockpile that has been in there for 30 plus years, or are we testing new systems?
Yeah, the testing that we'll be doing is on new systems. And again, these will be non-nuclear explosions. These are just developing these sophisticated systems so that our replacement nuclear weapons are even better than the ones they were before. They're reliable in all circumstances, under all conditions, and they deliver the performance they were designed for.
The Vice President, J.D. Vance, talked about this a little bit, and we do have a clip that we want to play.
It's an important part of American national security to make sure that this nuclear arsenal we have actually functions properly, and that's part of a testing regime. To be clear, we know that it does work properly, but you got to keep on top of it over time, and the president just wants to make sure that we do that.
How do we know that they work if we haven't had a test in 30 years?
Yeah, you know, it is an amazing. Our national laboratories, which are really the birthplace of artificial intelligence, some of the great computation advances you're seeing now, they've been in our labs for years. The U.S. actually has a great advantage. With our science and our computation power, we can simulate incredibly accurately exactly what will happen in a nuclear explosion. And we can do that because in the 70s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, we did nuclear test explosions. We had them detailedly instrumented, and we measured exactly what happened. Now we simulate what were the conditions that delivered that, and as we change bomb designs, what will they deliver? We have a reasonable advantage today in nuclear weapons design over all of our adversaries.
And I got to ask before we move on to our other subject, the #1 movie on Netflix right now, A House Full of Dynamite, is about how people in this town would deal with an incoming nuke. Have you seen it?
I have not, but now I got it, and I got to check it out tonight.
Go check it out, and then come back and tell us what you think. I do want to ask you about this. A big part of the president's agenda, he wants to be a global leader for AI. Big companies are building data centers everywhere, but that requires a lot more energy than we have right now. And the grids, it seems like, are getting kind of stressed. When will we have enough energy to be an AI powerhouse?
It will go in parallel. We are bringing energy on the grid today. Some of it is new power plant construction. That takes time. So those will come on. But there's a lot of just bad policies from the Biden administration that said, yes, you have that power plant there and it can produce power, but you're only permitted to run it 40 days a year because of our climate rules. So last summer, I was able to waive some of those regulations to prevent blackouts. We would have far more blackouts and even higher power prices if we had continued the trajectory of the Obama and Biden presidencies. They really were digging us into a hole. You go to Germany, go to United Kingdom, and see 40 cents a kilowatt power. That's the trajectory we were on. And of course, you can't win the AI race with that. But there's some creative ways that we will bring many gigawatts of power on just in the next few months, tens of gigawatts in the next year or two. And we will stay in the lead in the AI race if we don't have other things get in our way and blow it. But boy, if President Trump had not won the re-election, China would be the gold and silver medal in AI, but not under this administration.
All right. Energy Secretary Chris Wright, thank you very much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All
Peter.
right, of course.
Great to see you.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee.
All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, I got some add-ons. So let me bring me up and let me resize these. Hope you guys are having a good night. I'm having a pretty good night. And I'll be wrapping it up probably about 9 p.m. I'll be out. Just want to get to bed early tonight. All right, what are we going to see here? Okay. Let me just clear out some of these windows. The train of truth is here. Just checking to see if there's anything else. Okay, I guess we got an update from what happened yesterday with that train attack. Yeah, well, I don't even know how many people got stabbed, to be honest with you. I think it was a few. It was some kind of train attack that happened. And let me clear out some of these windows. Okay. Let's get this out. And this one was, yeah, this is a Cambridgeshire, in England, on November. That was yesterday, November 1st. Let's share this, and we're gonna watch what happened.
Okay, 10 people have been injured following a mass stabbing attack.
10 people injured.
The incident took place on Saturday on board a train from the city of Doncaster to London. The train made an emergency stop in Huntington shortly after the stabbings were reported. Police say they have arrested 2 British men and are investigating the motive and circumstances surrounding the incident. Authorities are ruling out terrorism as a possible motive for the attack.
Within 8 minutes of the 999 call being made, 2 men were brought into police custody, where they remain this morning. I can tell you that these are 999. The first male, a 32-year-old male, a black British national.
I don't know why we don't use 999.
A 35-year-old man, a British national of Caribbean descent. They were both arrested on suspicion of attempted murder. Both were born in the United Kingdom.
So initially I had some screaming and shouting coming from at least a carriage or 2 down. And then I made eye contact with another passenger diagonal to me. And it was clear that something was going on. We didn't quite know what. And then a minute or so later, a man comes running down with a very clear wound, bleeding quite badly on his arm. And I thought it was like some sort of Halloween prank at first. But then he shouting that someone's got a knife, he was stabbed. And then a few more people come running down the train. And then I grabbed my bag and my coat, and then I got up and moved forward down the train after them, trying to get as far down the train as they can. And that was kind of initially when I was like, oh, okay, something's happened.
I was in Coach H. I was literally just listening to Audible on my phone. And then I had guys suddenly run past going, run. There's a guy stabbing literally everyone, everything. At first, there was a few of us kind of looking at each other like thinking, was it a joke, like it's Halloween, I'd be pranking. But then you could kind of see in their faces they were being serious. So I kind of got my stuff and I was running. And everyone was really pushing behind us, really panicking. And at this point, I was kind of asking questions like, what's going on? What's happening? Like, who is it? And they were like, a guy's just stabbing everyone back there. And then I put my hand on this chair, like just trying to push myself forward. And then I look at my hand and it's covered in blood. And then I look at the chair and there's blood all over the chair. And then I look ahead and there's blood all on the chairs. And I'm thinking, okay, this is pretty serious.
Oh my God. That's wild. That's crazy. All right, let's keep it moving. There you go, the sound.
Counting the government shutdown now dragging into the second month, and Americans are feeling the pinch. And there are concerns at the airport as travelers are dealing with delays and worried about their safety as air traffic controllers feel the strain. Nashville International Airport has a ground delay until 4 p.m. today because of staffing shortages. Newark Airport in the New York metropolitan area is also under a ground delay amid staffing shortages in the control tower. And while hardworking Americans feel like they are losing, Democrats seem more concerned with who is winning.
Democrats have voted 14 times now, Shannon, to keep the government closed. You have the major airlines in the country. You have every segment of the population and hardworking Americans who will be going without. You have 42 million recipients of SNAP that are in jeopardy right now. You have women, infants, and children because the nutrition program that President Trump and the White House have heroically funded thus far is running out of money. And of course, the troops. I mean, we've gotten them paid now for 2 cycles, but that money is not inexhaustible and it's running out. And so increasingly, the American people will be feeling the pain. And after we pass that threshold of the first of this month, it gets very real for more and more people.
Georgia Republican Congressman Buddy Carter joins me now live in studio. Congressman, welcome.
Thank you.
So on the air traffic controller issue, the
This is like they trying to like it's like a mind fuck like COVID did.
Today. Let's play him.
Like play with people's hearts and play with people's minds.
There's a burning frustration like in the rest of the country. And so you mentioned that safety is my top priority, and it is. We will delay, we will cancel any kind of flight across the national airspace to make sure people are safe. But there is a level of risk that gets injected into the system when we have a controller that's doing 2 jobs instead of 1. We manage that, we look out for it, and safety is the priority. We'll take all steps necessary, though, to make sure that you get from point A to point B and you do it safely.
How concerned are you about air traffic controllers? Very stressful job, going more than a month without pay.
Oh, that's absolutely. Crazy. It's stressful. And you can imagine the strain that this puts them under, not getting a paycheck.
But if they take out a credit card,
and they're not able
to
meet
take out a
those
credit card.
So it adds to the strain that's already there.
If they need
adds to the
like
stress
extra funds,
that's already there.
they can take out a credit card and
it's not a good
they'll send
situation
that card right
for
away.
Americans to have people
And
in
they
that
can start
important
using it
position
to help
under that kind of stress.
You know, pay for their groceries or pay for their bills.
And Hakeem
Like there's
Jeffries
always a
looking
will,
over their
there's a way,
shoulders at
there's
Congressman
ways.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Zoran Mamdani,
temporarily,
potentially
you
the
know?
next New York City mayor, and fearful for their
And I'm
positions
sure
of
we're
power.
getting a
There's
traffic
no question
power
about it. I
control.
think that
They're
the
getting
reason
paid
Chuck
good.
Schumer
I'm sure
has
they got good
initiated
credit.
this
You know, they
shutdown
can get out
has
alone.
been because
They can take
he's
out
afraid he's going to
alone.
be primary by AOC.
You know what I mean?
And let's make sure we
Like,
understand
and then
this
they
shutdown
can
was
pay it back
initiated
little
by
by
Chuck
little
Schumer, John
on the
Ossoff,
loan.
and the Senate Democrats. We did our job in the
You know,
House.
you
We
take out a
passed
certain
the
amount of money
continuing resolution,
and
clean
you just
continuing
pay it back.
resolution to get us through. They want to use the American
You have
people,
enough money
our troops, our WIC program, our SNAP
to pay
program,
for your bills
as
for like a few
leverage
months.
to get health care benefits for illegal aliens.
I want to play an old clip from then President Barack Obama on government shutdowns, and I'll get you to react to it.
No Congress before this one has ever in history been irresponsible enough to threaten default, to threaten an economic shutdown, to suggest America not pay its bills, just to try to blackmail a president into giving them some concessions. Republicans do not like the law. They can go through the regular channels and processes to try to change it. That's why we have elections. You do not threaten the full faith and credit of the United States of America.
Should Democrats in Congress now listen to his comments from 12 years ago?
They should, and those comments are still applicable to today, except that he should replace Republicans with Democrats, because that's what's happening right now. The Democrats are using the American people, using our troops as leverage. Even Bernie Sanders has admitted it. Even my colleague, Kathleen Clark, has admitted it. They're using them as leverage.
We have an election on Tuesday. New York City, New Jersey, Virginia, Northern Virginia has a ton of federal employees. Do you think there will be a miraculous change on Wednesday to try to get a deal to reopen the government?
I hope so, and I do think so. I think that I think this should bring the Democrats to their senses to know that we teach our children that actions have consequences. Well, the actions of the Democrats are going to have consequences, and hopefully we will see that on Tuesday.
Many folks watching us now may be having some sticker shock as they look at their Obamacare premiums during the registration period. Will Congress need to act on that?
We will, because this is the Unaffordable Care Act. I mean, Obamacare, the Democrats realized early on that it was unaffordable, and they started subsidizing it. And then when the pandemic started, we got the Biden COVID bonuses that they set to expire at the end of the pandemic. Now they want to extend them. This is not going to work. And the Democrats have ruined health care in America with the Unaffordable Care Act.
I know you're hoping for government to reopen soon. Do you think it will?
I do think it will. I think that, especially after Tuesday, and when we see a Republican victory throughout the country, then I think that the Democrats will come to their senses.
Congressman Buddy Carter, the great state of Georgia. Great to see you in person.
Thank you.
Take care, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno.
Hey, Emily. Let's keep it moving. Liberal hive mind. I got back to back, and then I'm going to wrap up the show because it's Sunday and I want to get to bed early today. All right, guys. Here we go.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Here's your meme of the day, brought to you by 5mind.com. Well, I guess there it is. It's the inevitable collapse, right? I mean, what happened to that tough guy act, remember? Elbows up. Oh, elbows up. Shiver me frickin' timbers. So scary. But we went from elbows up, we're gonna take on Donald Trump. We're gonna collapse the American economy and realign trade with China. We went from this pathetic tough guy act to now literal apologies, kissing feet, kissing the ring. Unbelievable. Canadian Prime Minister is now begging for forgiveness publicly after that pathetic Ronald Reagan ad that they spent 75 million taxpayer dollars on. And while of course the main topic of conversation here is failed diplomacy, Trump derangement syndrome, I think there's something else that's also being exposed. The total scam playbook of the left, getting elected on waves of emotion, and of course the feel-good promises, the empty promises of free crap, but in this case, just total emotion, betraying pretty much everything you ran on. We're standing up to the evil orange fascist to then do a 180 and apologize, offer concessions from elbows up to ankles up. It's the emotional games of the left on full display, the fake empty promises and constant election cycle betrayals. It's the lying left in a nutshell. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on, as Canada is now begging for forgiveness. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, let's go ahead and dive into this mess, shall we? It seems like the whole elbows up strategy was doomed from the beginning, and obviously anybody with two freaking working brain cells could have seen that since day one. Just take a look at this moment with Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney.
Did you apologize to Donald Trump about Ontario's anti-tariff ad?
I did apologize to the president. President was offended by the act, or by the ad rather, and it's not something I would have done, which is to put in place that advertisement, and so I apologize to him.
Yeah, that right there, folks, is the face of regret. And now some people would suggest, well, he had nothing to do with it. It was actually the Ontario Premier, Doug Ford, who pushed the ad. The federal government had nothing to do with it. Well, you know, I did a little bit of digging, and I learned recently that actually, Mark Carney's team actually saw the ad and approved it before it launched in America.
Talk to the Prime Minister about this and what's. I mean, he was pretty measured in Malaysia today. Sure. About you and about this situation, but how are relations with the Prime Minister? Are things strained now because of what's happened?
Not at all. He saw the ad before I put it out, so did his chief of staff. They both saw it, and we moved forward on it. But again, we achieved our goal. As we say, mission accomplished. It was done. They're talking about it in the U.S., and they weren't talking about it before I put the ad on, so...
Which really isn't surprising considering we heard about this ad weeks before it actually aired. It's not like it came out of nowhere. It went through an official public process. There were public monies spent on it, but now the Canadian Prime Minister wants to pretend as if he had nothing to do with it, and he apologizes. He would never do such a thing. Total FAFO, regret, backpedaling. But I guess probably more accurately, just getting hit in the face with reality. They promised defiance, right? Oh, they were gonna stand up to Trump. They were gonna fight back. And then reality hit them real quick like a ton of bricks. They promised defiance and delivered surrender and capitulation. And of course, it's not just about one dumb ad. No, it's symptomatic of Trump derangement syndrome as a whole. This is what happens when you fall victim to the brain virus known as TDS. You act like an unhinged emotional D-bag, and Trump wins, handedly, every time. Because Donald Trump is operating in the real world, and you're operating in a world of delusion. Again, I repeat, Donald Trump's demands were not random. They were grounded in real issues like trade imbalances, border security, unfair one-sided tariffs, stuff that sure previous administrations chose to ignore, but Donald Trump, of course, is leading with an America First agenda. And the reaction on the opposing side was not to engage in good faith negotiation, but rather to brand him, to label him as a psychopath that needs to be resisted, claiming that, oh, he's shredding alliances across the globe. But that's wrong. Again, just as the Democratic media claims that Donald Trump has caused all this division, no, it's them. They're over-the-top reactions. That's the real wrecking ball. When you decide to pander to propagandized boomers who are glued to their TV, going on and on about your Trump boogeyman tales, grabbing that low-hanging fruit thinking it's gonna work, but time and time again we see that it doesn't. It backfires. It's not smart diplomacy in this case. It's an idiotic, lowbrow reactionary play. And look at the results. It's maximum self-damage inflicted. You know, this guy was elected as the Canadian Prime Minister because supposedly he was a deal maker, right?
Lord.
He was the best
Are you
person
okay?
to, quote, handle Donald Trump. But obviously there's a total power imbalance there. It's never going to happen. Not to mention, it's not just about not having leverage. This Mark Carney guy is like a total wimp.
On my hand and
Physically,
fucking
just
my hand
look at
open.
him. Listen to him speak for more than 5 seconds. Who is this guy intimidating? Nobody. And now after everything, of course, it's backfiring spectacularly on Canada. Businesses continue to flee, and they're moving south of the border, reshoring jobs in the United States of America. It just happened again, by the way.
We live in kind of rural Ontario, and we think of ourselves insulated from the greater world, and suddenly it hits you that you're not.
After more than 3 decades in Lindsay, Holsag Canada, a furniture-making company known for its wooden chairs, is shutting down. Its U.S. parent company, Mighty Inc., says it will move production south of the border.
Holsag Canada is now shutting down its Ontario plant in Lindsay. They now plan to relocate all of those jobs into the United States by March 2026, axing up to 130 jobs. And that's been happening non-stop. And that's really the irony of this whole situation, because it's elbows up, we're fighting Trump. But their antics are playing straight into the strategy. Their refusal to negotiate in good faith and get a good deal done that's beneficial for both nations is basically a gift wrap for President Trump. Canada's taking a massive hit. Debt's ballooning. Investment dollars are fleeing. Unemployment is spiking. The Canadian dollar is weakening. And meanwhile, America's taking off like a damn rocket. They're handing him everything that he could have wanted as they pretend they're standing up to him. That's probably why, what was it, like 7 or 8 months ago, President Trump said he would rather Mark Carney win. Maybe, just maybe. He understood the basic concepts of leverage, the power imbalance here, and he knew that if Trump derangement ruled the day in Canada, it wouldn't end well for them. It gives him the perfect justification to increase the tariffs, shut down trade negotiations because they're acting completely freaking batshit insane, and the more pressure he applies on them, well, the more jobs come back home. It's really not rocket science. It's actually quite simple. And maybe, you know, just maybe it seems they might be finally realizing that. Canada's in the finding out stage, right? And that's probably why we're seeing this total 180 as the colossal morons that run non-woke Canada realize their strategy isn't working in the least, and so they're now going from evil orange man with the evil orange man to, we're sorry, we offer our deepest apologies. What a change in tone, but frankly it changes absolutely nothing. In a lot of ways I think the damage has already been done, and it's going to take a whole lot more than just a simple apology to get back in this president's good graces, and well, until they figure that one out, I guess more jobs for American citizens. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
Awesome. Let's go to the next one.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Here's your meme of the day, brought to you by 5mind.com. The left and their absolutely naive, insane delusions. You know, it seems they've convinced themselves that if they just keep apologizing, let's call it the Obama tactic, if they just keep apologizing for simply existing, if they keep handing over the keys to the castle, handing out everything for free, then suddenly every radical group on the planet is going to join their little hippie circle. We are talking cultural relativism on steroids. And where it's so obvious is with the left's relationship with Islam. They've formed some sort of unholy alliance here. And they'll jump through hoops to defend that allegiance. They'll justify all of these inhumane Islamic beliefs, claim that it's just tradition or it's fake news, it's overstated. In reality, they're just freedom fighters, right? They're on the same side, fighting against evil white European colonialism. But no, these aren't your anti-fascist comrades. They aren't progressives, actually. You know, the far right that you leftoids are constantly going on about? Yeah, that's Islam. Yeah, that's that theological authoritarianism threat that you pretend the Christian nationalists pose. That's the patriarchy right there, the anti-gay, anti-woman, anti-secular worldview that you pretend to despise so much at home. And yet in this case, the left's like, yup, those are our allies. Chickens for freaking KFC, cows, pigs for the slaughterhouse. Islamic militants are not your allies fighting white supremacy. They're using your white guilt like a frickin' crowbar to pry open the gates. And what do you think happens when they've seized the structure? Well, say bye-bye to your rainbow flag, say bye-bye to your entire month of June. You are setting up a disaster where your woke progressive revolution turns into the biggest play of self-sabotage ever known to mankind. And I got one video here, folks, that really exposes the truth. Hopefully leftoids are paying attention. Well, newsflash, they're not. But anyways, I'll speak into the void anyways. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so I got this one video from the streets of UK. Not exactly sure where, not sure it's really relevant, but just take a look at this.
No need for that. We're on the same side, bro. No, we're not. Yes, we are, bro.
So you got this massive group of Islamic protesters wearing hoodies, black masks, chanting Allahu Akbar in the streets, and some leftist dude on the side, I'm not sure if you heard it, says, no need for that, we're on the same side, bro. Then the instant reaction from one of the Muslim individuals in the crowd was, no, we're not. That right there, that awkward exchange, I think it encapsulates everything that's going on with this leftist dynamic. These people are desperately clinging on to an alliance that does not exist. You think you're being some sort of inclusive hero by opening the door. We're opening the door to all of these oppressed peoples. But these people are not joining your party. They're not joining your socialist revolution. They're plotting to shut it all down, to rename it, to conquer it, and inevitably enforce their rules. But sure, you know, the pseudo-intellectual cultural relativism worldview, it screams, don't judge, we're all equals, we all want the same thing. But while you're not judging, while you're purposely being ignorant and stupid, they are judging, and they're judging hard. And their judgment calls for no pronouns, no drag queen story hour, no drag queens at all, no abortion rights, pretty much nothing that represents your worldview. They reject it all. And yet you leftoids are footing the bill, or at least you're forcing the American people to foot the bill for this cultural invasion using American taxpayer dollars. You think it's solidarity, right? But it's not. They want to conquer you. It's exploitation. And your willful, hopeful, naive, leftist ignorance is letting it all slide. Your blind empathy is a vulnerability. But of course the left would argue, oh, that's just one moment. It doesn't represent the whole, right? You've heard this a million times. It doesn't represent the whole. But if you believe that, you're not paying attention. It's not just one guy. It's pretty much the majority view, especially with the new wave of individuals coming through this mass migration scheme. At this point, it's a systemic issue. I got a documentary clip here from Germany. Not exactly sure when this was filmed, but it looks like it was filmed a while ago. And I think this really puts it all into perspective.
Ein ganz normaler Tag einer syrischen Flüchtlingsfamilie. Ahmad lebt mit seinen beiden Frauen und 6 Kindern in einem kleinen Häuschen im Landkreis Pinneberg bei Hamburg. Ahmad wollte immer nach Deutschland.
Hier gibt's die Unterstützung. Sie geben uns Sozialleistungen. Sie geben uns dieses Haus.
Wie viel bekommen Sie im Monat?
Weiß ich nicht. Das Geld wird überwiesen und ich gehe zur Bank und hebe es ab.
Das Haus, in dem Sie leben, hat die Gemeinde gestellt und wird vom Jobcenter bezahlt.
Hier ist das Zimmer meiner ersten Frau und da gegenüber das meiner zweiten.
5 Zimmer, 2 Bäder und die Küche. Wo würde eine dritte Frau schlafen?
Dann müsste die Wohnung größer werden.
Wie genau Betol, die Erstfrau mit den Kindern, nach Deutschland kam, ist unklar. Das zuständige Bundesamt will sich nicht äußern, aus Datenschutzgründen. Offenbar hatte Ahmed auf Familienzusammenführung geklagt und Recht bekommen.
Der Richter sagte mir, wir helfen dir, deine Frau hierher zu holen. Denn wir wissen, sie sind Muslim und dürfen 1, 2, 3 oder 4 Frauen heiraten. Da gibt es von Seiten des Gerichts keinen Widerstand, dass sie ihre Zweitfrau...
Wie viele Kinder wollen Sie haben?
Ich? 10, 20, kein Problem.
Und wie viele Ehefrauen?
4. Bei Allah, Friede sei mit ihm.
Mittlerweile hat die Familie einen Flüchtlingsstatus. Eingeklagt per Gerichtsentscheid. Gültig für 3 Jahre. Damit könnte Ahmed auch arbeiten gehen oder zumindest einen Deutschkurs belegen. Der Analphabet will aber lieber bei den Kindern sein.
So basically, you got this guy who's apparently illiterate. He's got 2 wives, many kids. He does not work. The German taxpayers pay for his entire life. And then at the end, he drops the truth bomb. He's having more kids so that one day Germany can become Islamic. And that is what we are seeing across the board. It's not about integration. It's not assimilation. It's straight up conquest through demographics. That is what's going on here. And throughout the years of Obama and Biden, America's been making the exact same mistake. And it seems like we're getting a little bit of a look into that now as this whole conversation around SNAP benefits is going on.
There are 42 million people in this country that need food stamps on a weekly basis. And we're saying people deliberately instead of Americans because most of the people that are on food stamps aren't even from this country. 45% of Afghanistan immigrants are on food stamps. 42% of Somali immigrants. 34% of every immigrant from Iraq. 23% of Haitians. 59% of all illegal aliens are collecting food stamps, meaning that most of the people getting food stamps from the U.S. government and the U.S. taxpayer are not even Americans. Think about that. And we didn't know about any of this before the government shutdown started. But thanks to Democrats, we can confirm tonight that millions of Joe Biden illegal aliens, people who crossed the border when Joe was president, are now collecting food stamps from a program funded by hardworking American taxpayers.
The groups who are taking the highest percentage per capita of food stamps are Afghanis, Somalis, and Iraqi families. In other words, importing people who are not being productive, they are a net drain on American taxpayers. They're not working their butts off to contribute to society, to assimilate, to pick up the language. No, instead what they're doing is they're carving out enclaves like in Dearborn, Michigan and Minnesota, and they're being paid to do so. And in the process, they're trying to make insulated Islamic enclaves. We've seen this time and time again. They're attempting to breed to take over entire regions of the country. And we've even seen many scandals of massive electoral fraud where they're gaming the system in an effort to force Islamists into power. And let me just ask you, if you flip the script, if this was happening but it was white nationalists who were doing the same thing, right? Purposely breeding to reclaim and conquer the country, what do you think they'd be saying on MSNBC? But in this case, it's crickets. Again, absolute leftist hypocrisy and naivete. But the left thinks that based on their compassion, tolerance, and generosity, everything's just gonna work, right? That's what AOC said, right? Stop policing crime and all of a sudden you get a cushy, green grass, white picket fence suburb. But when you stop policing, what you get is massive crime and total disaster no-go zones. Well, it's the same thing here. Just give people whatever they want, be generous, and we'll live in a utopic society. Well, ask Europe, because Europe's already run the social experiment, and look at what's happening. Speaking of the left, their favorite groups, right? Their protected groups. I'd say that the LGBTQ is at the absolute top of the list. Well, look at what you're causing. This just happened in Manchester the other day. You got two trans folks, or I don't know, possibly cross-dressers, but basically you got two LGBTQ individuals. They're strolling down the street, and a group of Islamic migrants jump in and start assaulting them. I won't be able to play most of the clip because, well, obviously the violence, or I guess I'll just blur out the portions, but you'll pretty much get the idea. And of course, the left is silent. Interesting. Well, have you ever thought to think that Sharia law, the hardcore Islamic view, wants nothing to do with embracing, elevating, and allowing LGBT culture to even exist? All this talk that LGBTQ people aren't safe because of the MAGA extremists. When have you ever seen a person in a MAGA hat do something like this? MAGA people might not agree with your lifestyle, but they'll never attack you for it. They'll never engage in violence in this manner.
Yeah,
You saw all of these people, I'm moving to Canada because I am no longer safe. Oh, Donald Trump and the trans genocide. Not a real thing. Meanwhile, your little chickens for KFC unholy alliance here, that's actually putting you in danger. The left claims, oh, it's compassion, compassion. There's nothing compassionate about it. There's nothing progressive. You are surrendering Western civilization. And it's all about cultural relativism. That is the concept. Pretending as if all cultures are equal. Meanwhile, you open the gates, allow subversive forces to walk into the nation as you apologize for simply existing. It's the Obama doctrine. It is weak and it is stupid. And again, leftoids, it's essentially enabling asking for the antithesis of everything that you believe in to come into the nation and destroy everything you're attempting to build. Wake up. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
All right. So that was the last video of the night. I'm jumping off of here. I'm tired. I'm going to get an early start to a beautiful night. Hopefully I don't have a rude awakening again with my head. It's just been driving me crazy. But until then, listen, continue having a good morning, good afternoon, and a good night. And I'll catch you on the flip side. And I'll be back tomorrow, regular time, and doing this all over again. And of course, a longer show. But it's Sunday. I'm tired. I went hiking. I'm going to do a little collage of pictures and make a little video and put it on my shorts. I'm going to put it in my shorts. I'll put it in my shorts. Yeah, I did this video I put up today of a stream of water. And the sound of water is what I wanted people to pay attention to. And 3 minutes. Just listen to the water. Put the sound. If you have like Bluetooth or you have like a headset or, like the headphones, put that on and put the volume up and listen to the water and meditate. And it helps release a lot of the anxiety and tension. The water is very helpful if you listen to it. If you don't listen to it, you never know. But I tell you, it does wonders for me. And I recorded a really good 3-minute video of this beautiful stream of water. And the sound that it was making is what caught my attention. So it was nice. I had a great day today. Beautiful. The valley looks beautiful. The mountain looked nice. The foliage was beautiful. I'm going to be putting a little collage of what I went through today. And I hope you guys watch it. Appreciate it if you watch it. All right, guys. Have a good night, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.